Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here again with another short video on why I'm involved with About Face, formerly known as Iraq Veterans Against War. And why I hope that today on Giving Tuesday, you will support us with a little financial donation. We try to be member driven as much as possible. You know, the nonprofit industrial complex is a bitch, and it's also really, challenging sometimes for organizations like ourselves that, are explicitly anti-war, anti-militaristic, working from a decolonization frame, and to try to meet a lot of those stringent things that donors want to put in place. And so, we want to remain accountable to our community. So when our community can support us, that is when we can do the absolute best work. So I've taken myself out for lunch today, not yet, going shortly, in Americus, Georgia. It's not too far from Plains, Georgia, which is where the Jimmy Carter National Historical Site is. There's another place nearby here called Andersonville, which I'm gonna make my mother go to with me at the end of the month when she comes to visit. That is a former Civil War prisoner of war camp, and I have learned recently that it's also an educational site. As far as, all of that goes. I don't know if it's any good yet. I'll let you know at the end of December. But I think that it is important to learn from our past, especially when it comes to war and military and the ongoing effects, and to understand how all of this stuff plays in together. So here I am in the Deep South. I was living up in North Carolina, almost Deep South, and there's still just so much left over from the Civil War, as far as, racism, poverty, divides across, all sorts of things. The economic issues because of all of that, that I don't want to really get into. But I think that one of the big things, of course, has been that military bases have largely thrived here. Over 50% of, or almost 50% of enlisted people have come from the South, so we need to look at these connections, how they all go together, whether, and we can't divide it out. We can't divide it out, well, it's because of a racism thing. We can't divide it out and say, oh, it's just because people, have less economic opportunity down here. It is all of these things, which is why About Face is so important to me, because we try to address a lot of this. And what I wanted to bring up this afternoon is just the last couple of years, especially at UNC, and then losing my employment there, starting with, being openly anti-racist, and ending with the cops fucking hating me because I was, and so using that as a cudgel to get me fired when the opportunity arose, and how important my military background was in that, about, understanding that what the cops were doing long term was very unsafe and poor practice, connecting it back to how police are repressed by militarized police, or not police, how people are repressed by militarized police forces. The type of violence that is wielded upon folks, like physically from the cops, but then also through the judicial system as well. And then, of course, when it came to the specific incident that the university used to fire me, it it's a pretty big no-brainer that, this exercise, this active shooter exercise was unsafe. From my military's perspective, that background that I had in doing military police training, other people on campus, would have been concerned. They would have probably panicked if they had seen police wandering around with, these rifles and pistols and not really understanding what's going on. And, so it became this two-part thing where we're also risking a lot of people just simply from not understanding what's going on, and with the large amount of active shooters that communities now experience. But that also just it was just an unsafe training situation. And to think that the police being allowed to train unsafely at the risk of physical and mental health of others is more important than, our communities being safe and being able to call out when bad practices are happening. My ability to respond in the way that I did was largely driven not only by my Chapel Hill community, but also from my fellow veterans in About Face, because I have witnessed them be some of the most brave individuals in the past few years, using their voice, to speak out against wrongs. Several people taking many hits. Many of us have lost employment, gone through extreme just circumstances, and that is something that we accept as part of changing our communities and our society to what we hope that it can be. Anyways, I know for many of us that we kind of consider the Dixie Chicks our kind of unofficial theme song sometimes. So, the song Not Ready to Make Nice, which, if you don't know the backstory behind that, you should definitely go look it up because it's amazing. Watch the video 1,000 times because the symbolism of the video is amazing, along with the words. And the words have been really just powerful to me the past couple of months, because I'm going to very poorly sing them for you right now, just a few lines. I know you said, why can't you just get over it? It turned my whole world around, and I kinda like it. I made my bed and I sleep like a baby with no regrets, and I don't mind saying it's a sad, sad story when a mother will teach her daughter that she ought to hate a perfect stranger. And sorry to subject you to that, but just I don't have any regrets about any of this year because I know what I did was right, and I know that I was propelled by these two wonderful communities that I've been able to be part of, both the anti-racist community in the Chapel Hill area, and About Face veterans. And that we know what we're fighting for and what we're organizing and educating around is going to lead us to a better world. And so with that, I'm going to pick one of these mini restaurants. This is also a college town, so it looks like there's many exciting restaurants to choose from. And I hope that you may all consider a $5 donation just for me singing shittily, but maybe even more to propel our organization along further. Thank you.